Hi, I'm Tim. Welcome to Watch One. Thanks for logging on. Today we are looking at an icon, the Panerai Luminor PAM00112, sometimes known as the Base, 44mm polished stainless steel. This is the closest thing Panerai has to a definitive model. While a lot of basic Panerai watches feature this essential look, it's the combination of the two hands, the sandwich dial, the 4 Arabic numerals, the calfskin strap, the 44mm polished steel Luminor case with that device protecting the crown that makes this 2002 to present model not just one of the longest references in Panerai's modern history, but in some ways the Firenze-based watchmaker's version of the Rolex Submariner, or the Audemars Piguet Royal Oak, or the Omega Speedmaster Professional, that one watch that, if you had to pare the whole catalog down to just a single reference, defines the brand more than any. If you were to put a Panerai in a space probe as Earth's sole example and best example of what the brand represents, this would be it. No mistaking, no compromises, the essence of the brand, and, in many ways, the face that launched 1000 Web Fora. Now, putting it on the wrist, you can see my wrist is 6 1/3 inches, 16 centimeters in circumference, and that classic cushion case, originally launched in 1993, designed by Alessandro Betterini, it wears as comfortably today as it did back then. This is a long-running look, and it's unchanged for a reason. Aesthetically and ergonomically it works. Now, some wonder about the crown guard. The crown guard is an iconic part of the look, but some worry about wrist gouging. As long as the watch isn't completely flopping around on your wrist, you can see how much trouble I'm having even getting skin in contact with it, so hyperextension and gouging is not an issue. Ergonomically, 1-to-1 ratio, this thing is a squat little tuna can. It's basically all watch and no lug. The milled lugs are basically just there to hold a strap that more or less juts straight down on a small wrist, so it fits comfortably, and no matter how much you have to crank that strap down, it's going to play ball with you because there's nothing obstructing the strap from curving downward and even inward. So I would say, because the strap is so supple, the lugs are so short, and there's nothing to obstruct its movement downward, you could wear this watch on a wrist down to maybe 15 centimeters in circumference quite easily, maybe even below. I would say the lower limit in imperial terms, because I am an old school American here, might be 5 3/4 inches in circumference. You could wear this watch quite comfortably because it distributes its mass nicely, and because that crown guard is raised a little bit above the base of the case, you can see this in profile. No matter how tightly you have to pull it down, it's really not going to impede the motion of your wrist. And because there's plenty of tumble home from the flank of the crystal to the flank of the case, you can see that that convex bezel really rolls inward. You can get a sleeve up and over this one. That's not necessarily true of some of the Luminor 1950 cases, the bigger cases, and it's not necessarily true of the submersibles, but on this bare bones, just the basics, just the essentials, just the good stuff PAM00112, no issues. It also has the look that Paneristi associate with the classic Luminor. Two hands. This is not the Marina, this is the base. So you have that Arabic numeral 9 at the 9 o'clock station, and you could see just Luminor and Panerai. This one does feature Luminova. Being a P-series watch, it has all the refinements. The black oxidized hands ensure that the only portions of the hands themselves that are visible are those loomed sections. Now, when I say sandwich dial, and I've used the term a few times, for those who are new to the brand, it consists of an entirely loomed disc. So this is actually a cutout stencil that features the stick indices, that features the print Luminor and Panerai, as well as the Arabic numerals 12, 3, 6, and 9. And that stencil is then laid over that completely loomed disc to form what's known as the sandwich dial. Originally developed during the late 1930s by Panerai engineers, it allows a much, much thicker layer of loom to be slathered on and then protected from contact with the hands, because if you paint that much loom onto the dial, there is a chance, given the adverse conditions under which these watches were originally used as standard equipment for combat divers in the Italian Navy, there was a chance that the hands could come in contact with a mountain of loom. So the sandwich with the recessed loom was the solution. And it looks great to this day. Because the stencil sits on top of that loomed disc, you have little sidewalls within the stencil that actually light up at night as the loom shines through, and it creates a phenomenal 3D effect. There's a reason that these are known for their luminescent aesthetic at night, and torch-like visibility is the reason. These are a real treat when the lights go low or out. Now, the other key component of this look is the device protecting the crown. First deployed in 1950 in the combat issue, Italian Navy, what was then known as the 6152 model before it became the Luminor in the modern parlance, the device protecting the crown is the solution to the problem of screw-down crowns wearing out their seals. Rather than screw the crown in and out endlessly, as on a Rolex, Omega, or Breitling dive reference, you have this locking lever. And since 2007, they've featured a little roller inside the cam that locks the lever, so that little roller is a fantastic piece of engineering that improves the luxury credentials of the watch by reducing wear and reducing friction between those parts. But the basics remain. Once you unlock the lever, you don't have to unscrew the crown. You simply pull it out, and then you set the time. Likewise, once you push it in, you can then wind the watch. As easy as pie, plus not only do you get the convenience of the locking lever, which is easy to use when your hands are wet, sweaty, or you're wearing a glove, but you also get the benefit of this crescent-shaped crown guard. Not only is it distinctive and an element of the watch's recognized style, but it gives you all-aspect protection from the heavy blows that could potentially damage even the guarded crown of a conventional dive watch. There is no aspect where you can get a clear shot at that crown, and that's why these Luminors are popular as the go-to for luxury watch enthusiasts who want to wear something for rough duty, rough play, weekend. The bottom line is this is the do-it-all Panerai, and that beautiful combination of the black dial, the white metal, and this Monte Carlo, this is the Panerai Monte Carlo leather strap. Calfskin as always, just not the untreated assolutamente that many associate with the combat models. This is a little bit more refined, a little bit more upscale, and it pairs nicely with this PAM00112's dial and polished stainless steel case. Now, I mentioned winding the watch, and a full wind is going to be good for 56 hours on this manually wound Panerai caliber OP10. This is based on the tried and true pocket watch caliber Unitas 6497, albeit highly customized by Panerai. And the customization includes everything from the rayon pattern dressage of the crown and the ratchet wheel to the Côte de Genève blazoned across the bridges to the tight and regular pattern of perlage across the base plate. The bridges have all been beveled on their edges. Well, properly speaking, they've been chamfered, and there's a nice mirror shine evident when you loop this. All of the screws, as you can see, are heat blued to a rich, dark cobalt, and there is mirror polish on certain of the screws, including that on the click right here, as well as the assembly that is the swan's neck regulator atop this huge oscillating 3 Hz balance wheel. 3 Hz means it vibrates at 21,600 vibrations per hour in an old school fashion reminiscent of a vintage movement like those found in the old Panerai dive watches of the 30s, 40s, and 50s. Moreover, because this is a pocket watch movement, the Unitas 6497, it's true to that original tradition by which Panerai watches were always powered by Rolex pocket watch calibers. It's a huge thing. 16.5 French lean, that's 37 millimeters, so this movement by itself is bigger than a standard Rolex Datejust, the whole watch. The swan's neck regulator is not just aesthetically pleasing, it's also ideal for a watch that's built for tough use. By screwing down the index that regulates the speed of the escapement, faster or slower, you prevent it from moving. It's that little finger that moves like a lever. You prevent it from moving accidentally with the combination of the swan's neck spring and that screw that fixes it against the swan's neck spring. Very tough, also traditional and aesthetically beautiful. It's part of the added value that Panerai brings to the basic Unitas movement to create the hand-wound caliber OP10. Everything about this watch is appealing. From its history, its status as the pioneer of the modern sports dive watch, to its modern heritage as arguably the definitive icon within the Panerai catalog. When people talk about the Panerai Luminor Base, they're talking about just the essentials, and in many cases, especially the 44mm stainless case, less is in fact more. This is the Panerai Luminor PAM00112 Base, 44mm in stainless steel.